A parting gift for my travels, my sister gave me this little plastic dog here that I can put some things in for my dashboard because I don't really have a glove box. So she gave me a little kit and a little notebook for me to track my mileage and miles per gallon in here, and then this yellow safety vest that she wants me to use if I have to do any roadside work, if I have a breakdown, just because she saw the video with my breakdown with the fuses. So she's concerned with that. So I have a very loving sister, and this is a very cute gift. The ears of the dog fold down to latch the little container. So it's sort of fun. So I have this sitting up on my dash here. Anyway, just reminds me of her and that people are caring about me while I'm traveling. Good morning. I'm in La Grande, Oregon today, headed to Starbucks here in the morning. Going to get some video editing done, some work done, and then head out. It's about 4.5, 5 hours from here down to Twin Falls, Idaho, which is where I'm actually headed today. Making my way slowly back to Austin. I'm just blown away, absolutely astounded by the number of new subscribers over the last 2 or 3 weeks. It's just crazy. My first 5 months of my YouTube channel, I had 600 subscribers, and in like the last 3 or 4 weeks, there's been like 1,500. Just absolutely blows my mind. It's so astounding. Headed to Twin Falls, Idaho today. Should be about a 4.5, 5 hour drive. Actually, a little longer than that for me because I'm driving about 55 miles an hour. The step van is running great. It's just a little bit of vibration around 50 to 55 miles an hour, and I think that's because of flat spots in the tires. Hopefully that'll smooth out over time. I've had several viewers offer to submit to me interior design layout plans for the back of the step van. And I'm very, very interested in getting input and ideas. I've been working on my own ideas for probably years for the layout in the back of a conversion type vehicle. So what I'm going to do in this video is offer an email address where you can submit your design ideas to me. I need to take a break here, break in, apologize for the interruption, but I'm beginning to realize as I'm editing this that I was really unclear in this whole next section. This is not a contest. This is totally just for people that love doing the layout, designs, sketches, napkin sketches, and just want to be a part of this project. I want you as the viewer to be as involved as you want to be. But please don't look at this like a contest. There's no winner. There's no prize. It's just for people that like doing layouts and want to get involved. And at the end, if I end up choosing your design, as I mentioned later, I'll be contacting you, and it'll be a chance to do a little Skype call and get excited about the design and move forward. So anyway, just wanted to mention that before I went off on this tangent and you got really upset that there's no prize here. It's not a contest. Okay, back to the video. This email address will only be good until May 7th, 2017. After that, I'm going to cut it off and the emails will just start bouncing. So that's sort of the cutoff for when I'm going to accept submissions. Don't expect a reply. I'm not having an auto reply, nothing like that. The emails that go through, I'll have it all tested. I'm a website designer. I have my own server, so don't worry about that. Those of you that are in the final running, you'll probably get an email from me. I'm going to choose like 7 people that are in the final running, and then choose a final design or maybe a hybrid between 2 designs. So I'm going to give you a link below in the description where you can contact me, and also it'll link to a web page that'll have a whole description of what I'm looking for. I'm going to run through some of the basics here. Now, you don't need to make these designs really fancy. They can be on a napkin, they can be on a scrap of paper, they can be on grid paper. If you have a computer and you want to do something with computer, then that's fine. Just snap a photo of it, send me a JPEG file. That should be fine. Anything else probably I'm going to ignore because I'm on a Macintosh and I don't have any fancy CAD software or anything like that. Eventually, if I choose somebody, then I might work with some CAD software to come up with a final design. Anyway, that said, let me go through some of the criteria of what I'm looking for. Let me give you the basic dimensions for the layout. The width of this from back here right now without the insulation is 85.5 inches. I'm going to put 1 inch of foam on each side, so you're going to be subtracting 2 inches from that to come up with 83.5. So plan on 83.5 inches for the width. I probably will put some paneling or decorative or pallet wood or something like that. That's okay, you don't need to factor that in. In fact, don't do any design work as far as the surface, the decoration, like decor type stuff. All I'm looking at is what furniture goes where, like where to put the sink, where to put a countertop, where to put seating, where to put like a dresser, a closet, things like that. So that's what I'm looking for. The dimensions front to back, 18 feet. So that's from the back door and all the way up until this partition right here. So I'm going to put the partition back in. You don't have to worry about that. There'll be a door in the center. Just count on that for now as being 1/3 of that width, 1/3 of 83.5. I might make the door a little bit wider or narrower based on other criteria. So those are the dimensions. Don't worry about the ceiling height, and I'll explain why in just a second. To head off any questions about the height in here, let's just say that it's 6'9". I don't have an exact height right now because I'm going to be removing this ceiling up here and putting my own insulation. This is probably 2 inches of insulation up here right now. So the ultimate height will probably be exactly where it is right now. I'm 6'6", and I have about 2.5, 3 inches of clearance here. So I'm guessing this is about 6'9" for the height. The main reason I don't want you to worry about the ceiling height is because I don't want anything that I'm constructing or built as far as cabinetry or furniture to go above 40 inches. Now you might ask why that is. Well, there's 2 reasons. One, I like having open space visually and spatially when I'm walking or standing. So I want all of this width to be open for just sort of natural ambient light, for having a larger feel of the space. And I'm a minimalist. I don't feel like I need to put storage cabinets up above. I'm not going to be stuffing things all over the place. I've been living with a 44-liter backpack for pretty much the last 5 years, and I just don't need that much stuff. One of the most important things to remember in your design criteria is how I plan on using this space. I don't know if I've talked a lot about this. If you look back at some of the previous videos, when I had my box truck, when I was coming back to the United States from my travel last year, I went to 33 countries. I've talked occasionally about the vehicle that I wanted to build. So there's 2 primary purposes. The first is I want a mobile tea house. I want to travel from city to city, to festivals, to main streets, to parks, and serve tea to locals and other people, just opening up my doors during the day or in the evening and serving tea as a way to interact with people as I travel. And I do that for several reasons. One, I'm a solo traveler and I want to meet locals, and this is an easy way to engage and meet locals, and it's a way for me to give to local communities and just be able to connect with them. The second thing that I want to do is I want to create some sort of a bookmobile, and I'm not sure exactly how this will evolve or develop, but I want to include paperback books, the smaller paperback books, on topics that I'm passionate about. So this could be minimalism that deal with, say, permaculture, living in harmony with nature and the world around us. So those are some of the books that I want to include here, and I'm not sure if it's going to be a lending library or a book exchange or just browse through books and read books while you're sipping on tea. I'm not sure how that's going to happen, but basically that's going to be included. So I'm going to create small bookshelves on those upper spaces against the wall. So those bookshelves will probably be 6 inches deep, like the width of a small paperback book, and be lining some of the sections of the walls. I don't want to get the weight too high, which is another reason I want all the weight low in the 40 inches or less for the cabinetry. I want to mention there's 2 exceptions to that rule that I have for nothing above 40 inches. So the 2 exceptions are the front area with the partition and the back area with the back doors. So you'll notice on the back doors there's a panel on the left and a panel on the right. I'm open to that going floor to ceiling with some sort of a small cabinet or a narrow closet. So when I mean narrow, I might mean 10 inches, 11, 12 inches, something like that, like a narrow drawer like you might see in the edges of a vanity or the smallest drawers in a kitchen as far as the width. I'll probably buy those prefabricated out of a dresser or a freebie off of Craigslist and use those and go floor to ceiling or something like that. So I don't want this to be very wide. It probably will be side access coming in, but possibly this area up here might be used for books going in there. I'm not sure. That's up to you to submit designs. And the same goes for this area up front. So the sides of the doorway, so the doorway is 1/3 of this width. Each side might have, say, a small closet. So I envision maybe something about 10 inches wide here, and the closet would be accessed from the doorway entry area here. So maybe a little swing door, and you see a closet, enough room for maybe 2 coats, 2 hanging shirts, something like that. I don't need much space. And then 3 or 4 drawers below. I would like enough space maybe if someone ends up joining me in my travels, so maybe an additional closet over here with 2 or 3 drawers. Ideally this person would be a minimalist. One other factor to consider is I want a small wood burning stove. Now there's a company, and I'll provide the link down below so you can get the dimensions on it, that makes a small stove called the Cub, and this is their smallest wood burning stove. Some of you might argue about that and be definitely opposed to that. The idea is coming from a friend of mine, Giuseppe, and I'll put a link above to his T-Bus. He's been driving around about 9 years. He's had a wood burning stove in there. He uses it every winter, almost every day. He has fabulous recommendations for it. He highly recommends it. He says it works just great. So I want to include that probably somewhere mid-cab, possibly over the wheel wells, since they're already metal. That may be an area. So there needs to be a little bit of space around it according to this manufacturer's specs, and possibly a metal barrier that goes around that's inset from the wall or the sides by about that much. Again, you have to look at the manufacturer's specs. I'll try to give a link down below. One more thing to keep in mind, I'm not planning on putting a bathroom in here. I know some of you are probably rolling your eyes and thinking that's crazy. This is primarily going to be a social space. I want it to look like a social space, be comfortable as a social space. People can come in, drink tea, and engage in conversations with each other and with me. I might hold meetups where we get together and talk about particular books. So I want this to be a space that's primarily used for seating and conversations and social engagement, drinking tea, reading books, looking through books, and having conversation. I don't want a visible bed. I don't want a bathroom distracting or taking up space. I plan on using commercial facilities for bathrooms, campgrounds, if I happen to be going to a campground. I do want a space in here that I can sleep. I love taking a nap in the afternoons, and occasionally I'm going to be sleeping in here as I'm traveling from place to place. But I don't want the bed to be visible as a bed for the social space. So that means it needs to be one of several options. It could be a futon that folds out. It could be one of those slat extension beds that slides out and then slides back in, that looks like a bench most of the time. It might be a convertible sort of banquet set. I forget what they call these. They're common in campers, where you have 2 benches and then you have a table in the middle, and that table can be removed from the wall or be removed from a post and lower down to fill the section between the benches, and then both of the seat back cushions go in the middle to provide a contiguous bed side to side. So anyway, I'm looking for some sort of conversion bed that sort of hides and is not visible, so when I'm using the social space, there's no visible bed. I want the space to be able to be entered from the back doors as well as from the front door and be able to walk through it. Now that said, it may be that if there are two benches in the back with a table that goes in the middle, that table could be there part of the time and maybe be removed from with legs or something else like that for social events, so that people are able to pass through there but have a place to sit. Another thing to consider, I'm planning on not having a black water tank. I'm only having fresh water and gray water. So you need to factor in those two tanks inside of this space. I'll end up having solar power at some point, no generator. So the solar power will probably come in next year. I'm planning on the wiring being external wiring. Most people put their wiring behind the insulation and behind the paneling. I'm planning on running conduit on the exterior. And part of that is my design aesthetic. I like early 1900s, late 1800s, sort of mad scientist industrial look. So I'm planning on running external conduit, external like industrial looking lights, and part of the space in here is very industrial looking in and of itself. So that's going to be the general style that I'm going to be going with in here. You don't need to worry too much about the style in your design, your layouts that you would be submitting, because that's something that will happen later and be to my particular taste. But just don't be worrying about getting the wiring in before the installation, because I'm planning on running that on the surface afterwards. One other thing I just thought of is I'm not planning on cutting any windows in the sidewalls. No more windows will exist other than what you're seeing here right now. It's possible down the road that I might add a skylight to the ceiling here, but probably not. So that's just something to keep in mind. I'm planning on having all natural light from the two windows in the back and the windshield in the front, and then having natural light coming through this partition barrier that will exist between the driver's cab and the space in the back. That's about all I can think of right now for the interior design ideas for the submission and the things that you should need, that you might want to know. Please go ahead and click on the link below. You can submit as many times as you want. Just send in JPEG attachments along with maybe a one-paragraph description of the idea and what you're trying to go for. Please make it clear and just make it simple. It doesn't have to be specific. I don't need to know necessarily down to the inch design. You can just round things off to the half of a foot and just draw general lines. Maybe use some graph paper to get the length and the width of the space correct before you start, so that when you're drawing little blocks, you can just come up with your design and get it more or less accurate. You may go in and measure things like beds and countertops just to make sure that your proportions are correct, but just get it close. Don't spend a lot of time on it. Don't wipe yourself out. If this is something that's fun for you, go for it. If it's something that's stressing you out, then it's probably not for you. And I'm not planning on offering a prize. Pretty much all you'll get is to talk to me one-on-one, maybe a Skype conference, a few phone calls, trading some emails. And if you're in my path of where I'm going, then I would love to meet whoever ends up coming up with the ultimate design, to sort of talk about it. And after it's ultimately built, I would love to show up at your doorstep and let you come in and take a tour. I've arrived in Twin Falls, Idaho. It's about 8:30 at night. It's just starting to get dark here. There's a time change today, so it feels like 7:30 to me. That's all I have for this episode. Thank you for watching. Savor the moment. See you next episode.